それではお時間となりましたので、本日のウェビナーを開始させていただきます。本日はピーチツリーコーナーズ市とジェトロアトランタ事務所との共催によるスマートシティや自動運転関連技術などの実証環境を提供するキュリオシティラボ紹介セミナーにご参加いただき、誠にありがとうございます。私、本日の司会を務めます、ジェトロアトランタ事務所の丹野と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。まずはじめに、ジェトロアトランタ事務所所長の秋山よりご挨拶させていただくとともに、キュリオシティラボの概要をご説明させていただきます。
はい、ジェトロアトランタの秋山と申します。ご参加の皆様におかれましては、米国の遅い時間帯、また日本の早朝の時間帯にご視聴いただき、誠にありがとうございます。本日はご案内の通り、ジョージア州ピーチツリーコーナーズ市にあるスマートシティや自動運転関連技術などの実証環境を提供するキュリオシティラボを紹介するセミナーを開催いたします。日本でも少子高齢化や地方の過疎化などの社会課題を解決する上でスマートシティが注目されていると承知しております。その中でも自動車やバスの自動運転などモビリティ分野に対する関心が非常に高まっていると認識しています。キュリオシティラボは公道と接するテスト道路や最先端の通信インフラが無料で利用できる施設となっており、日本企業の皆様にとって魅力的な実証環境を提供できる可能性があると考えております。2021年6月に初めてキュリオシティラボを紹介するセミナーを開催し、100名以上の方々にご参加いただきました。施設の概要は、当初が今年6月に公開したレポートでご確認いただけるため、2回目となる本日のセミナーでは、キュリオシティラボを実際に利用している企業様にご登壇いただき、各社の事業内容や施設を利用することとなった理由につき、ご説明をいただく予定にしています。最初に簡単ではございますが、初めてご参加される方もおられますので、キュリオシティラボが位置するピーチツリーコーナーズ市、施設設立の経緯を簡単にご説明させていただきます。まず、ピーチツリーコーナーズ市の場所ですが、米国南東部最大の都市であるジョージア州アトランタ市中心部から北東約 34km に位置しております。空の玄関口であるアトランタ国際空港からは北東わずか30分という好立地になっております。キュリオシティラボは当初、地元大学を卒業した人材の流出対策とハイテク企業誘致のために設置されたテクノロジーパークアトランタが元となっています。地域の人口が増加した結果、2012年にピーチツリーコーナーズ市が新たに誕生し、市の経済開発と他のコミュニティとの差別化を図るため、実世界でのテストと実証環境を提供するリビングラボを作ることとなり、キュリオシティラボが2019年に設立されました。ピーチツリーコーナーズ市がすべてのインフラを所有しておりますので、実証実験の実施時には、外部組織に許可を得る必要などなく、迅速に実証実験を行うことが可能となっております。これまでスライドにある企業を含め、56の企業や団体が実証実験を行っており、今回はその中から3社に登壇いただきますので、ぜひご質問がございましたら、Q&A 機能でお問い合わせをいただければと思います。長くなりましたが、私からの挨拶と説明は以上とさせていただきます。
続きまして、講師の講演に入る前に、Zoom ウェビナーのシステムについて簡単にご説明させていただきます。講演に対するご質問内方法について、ご覧いただいている画面の真ん中下あたりに質問、クエスチョンというパネルが表示されているかと思います。ご質問がありましたら、 こちらのパネルより英語にてご質問の入力をお願いいたします。時間の許す限り、登壇者より順次回答いたします。万が一、何らかの理由により、ウェビナーシステムが途中で終了してしまった場合、ジェトロにてシステムを再起動します。その際は誠に恐縮ですが、数分後に改めて事前にお送りしましたウェビナー参加リンクよりアクセスをお願いいたします。本日の講演は録画しておりますので、後日改めて講演内容をご視聴いただくことも可能です。Zoom をご退出後にアンケートのページが開きますので、ご回答のほどよろしくお願いいたします。これより講演に入りますが、これ以降、日本語同時通訳をご利用いただけます。日本語通訳をご希望の方は、画面右下あたりの通訳というパネルから日本語を選択ください。元の音声の代わりに日本語通訳音声を聞いていただけます。通訳が不要の方は、今のままの状態、通訳モードをオフにしてお聞きください。それでは講演に入りたいと思います。本日ご登壇いただく方々をご紹介させていただきます。本日モデレーターを務めていただきますのは、ペンドルトングループアトランタのオルフェ・フェルナンデス様です。オルフェ様は長い間、アトランタ都市圏商工会議所にて国際ビジネス担当のバイスプレジデントを務め、外国企業の誘致活動などで豊富な実績と経験をお持ちです。現在はペンドルトングループにてキュリオシティラボの広報も行っています。キュリオシティラボの運営に携わるピーチツリーコーナーズ市からは、キュリオシティラボ運営委員会バイスチェアマンのブライアン・ジョンソン様にご登壇いただきます。また、キュリオシティラボを実際にご利用された3社様にも登壇いただきます。自立走行業界向けに設計された画像グレードのセンサーシステムを開発する米国のスヨンから、プロダクトマーケティングストラテジーマネージャーのスティーブン・シャフィールド様、照明インフラを活用して完全にデジタル化されたコネクテッド環境を構築するプラットフォームを提供するイスラエルのジュガノから、プロダクトストラテジー部門のバイスプレジデントのキラン・クルカミ様、自律型ロボットキャリアを開発・製造しており、ラストワンマイル問題解決に取り組むエストニアのクレボンの COO のエリサ・アントン様にご登壇いただきます。それでは、まずはキュリオシティラボの紹介動画をご覧ください。
Everywhere around us, communication and technology is advancing. Both seen and unseen, there is a growing cybernetic collective, a near seamless connection from device to device, and ultimately, human to human. The Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners, Georgia, provides a 500-acre, real-world environment that features a 1.5-mile autonomous vehicle test track and smart city living laboratory for testing and integration of new technologies. A highly advanced infrastructure that includes intelligent traffic signals, solar roadways, embedded charging coils, smart cameras, and street lights, and additional sensors that are all interacting via mobile 5G. Smart mobility enhanced vehicles detect and communicate directly with each other for both collision avoidance and traffic optimization. This is a truly special destination, a gathering point where thought leaders and designers research new products and services, testing interconnectivity and performance, and collaborate with other great companies in a real-world environment with all its unpredictability. Current and next-generation private and commercial vehicles share the open road with the pedestrians walking to work and families enjoying the day. In the near future, phones and tablets will display three-dimensional renderings of the environment in real time from the vast array of data available along the route. There is an active and modern lifestyle here. It draws local cyclists to our streets, where safety is enhanced by our cycling computers and mobile devices that transmit their location, direction, and velocity directly to approaching vehicles and surrounding monitoring devices. And they also receive back alert messages of vehicle proximity. Imagine now runners with next-generation wearable technology communicating their location in real time to vehicles on the road, while their heart rate and workout data is being transmitted to their family and friends at home. Unfortunately, the smart city IoT streets of the future present exponentially more breach points that hackers will be looking to exploit. Next-generation cybersecurity must be tested and strategic cyber resiliency strategies deployed to provide real-time countermeasures. Our future is an exciting one, where driven vehicles and driverless vehicles, humans and humanoids, coexist in an unparalleled testing dynamic, both on the ground and in the air. This is a robust and unchoreographed final proving grounds for V2X technologies and beyond. New tech companies are finding their genesis here, and existing companies are developing new concepts and refining technology that enhances and supports the array of products and services being tested here. Join us on this exciting new journey, a journey of discovery at a truly unique location where human intelligence, artificial intelligence, and smart mobility converge. Let's grow together and learn from each other, now and in the future.
Welcome to the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners. The Curiosity Lab is where technology goes to be tested after graduating from a closed laboratory environment.
This is here. This is now. This is Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners, Georgia.
次に、ピーチツリーコーナーズ市のブライアン様より動画の内容の補足をしていただきます。Hi, Mr. Brian. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I'll project your material, then please start your presentation.
Okay, well, hello, everybody. As you can see, I am the current vice chairman of the board of directors of Curiosity Lab. I also happen to be the city manager of the city of Peachtree Corners, which is actually the owner of this ecosystem of Curiosity Lab we're about ready to talk about. The video that you just saw was filmed here on site in this ecosystem. This is an environment of 500 acres or a little over 200 hectares of technology office space located within our city. And we decided as a city to take all of the roads and the right-of-way or the public property that these roads are inside of, to include light poles, sidewalks, traffic signals, to take all of those that are inside of this technology park and turn it into a laboratory for companies to come use to either test products in which you need public property and public permission to test, or companies to just demonstrate their products that are actually working, but they're so new that maybe nobody in the United States or the southeastern United States or even the state of Georgia, nobody knows that product exists. So this environment, as a city, we decided, once we decided to create this, we went through a list of things that might be a barrier to entry or a barrier to companies to come use our ecosystem. And we didn't want those barriers to exist because we decided to create this as a draw, as a magnet, or as a way to get companies to come to Peachtree Corners, even just temporarily. But obviously our ultimate goal is to have companies stay here longer than just temporarily. But we don't get an opportunity to make our case or to provide a good permanent location to companies that don't even know we exist. So we created this environment as a magnet, and when we considered the things that might end up causing a company not to be interested in this environment, the list was things that we wanted to cross off. So the first one is the wireless environment we have. We knew that companies were going to want 5G, in addition to 4G LTE wireless capabilities. So we put in all three bands, middle, lower and upper band of 5G, made it free for companies using Curiosity Lab. And it, when we've created the city street of the future where literally everything in our streets can talk to everything else, street lights can talk to cars, can talk to traffic signals, can even talk to people's phones if they have a phone with that capability. And we knew we were going to need the broadband and the latency of 5G. So that's one thing that we did. The other one is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, having a lot of government red tape is always a reason for companies to not want to get involved. But we don't have that because in our particular case, the city of Peachtree Corners, of which I'm the manager of, is the only governmental entity that has to give approval to use it. We don't need any other level of government, not the state, not the federal government, just us. Third is cost. Cost is always a consideration, so we decided not to charge to use all of these facilities and these technologies. We don't charge to let companies hang their devices on our light poles or to install their software to test or demonstrate. It's free. We also do not require intellectual property ownership of any of the technology tested or even invented here. So the proprietary nature of this allows companies to keep all of their proprietary data and intellectual property. We also know that when you create that city street where everything can communicate with everything else, it creates a lot of other opportunities for bad actors or hacking or cyber crimes to happen. So we went through the process of obtaining the highest level of data security that the US federal government gives to government facilities that generate unclassified data. And so we've achieved the highest level we can. We obviously, nobody can guarantee there won't be any kind of a cybersecurity breach, but we have achieved the highest level to prevent that. We also went through the process of getting insured or having insurance on our public space in this Curiosity Lab environment. So if there are accidents involving the public infrastructure, we have insurance that can insure for those to happen. Last couple of points is we also knew that once we removed those barriers to entry and made it, a rather attractive option for companies to use or even to relocate and expand here, we also knew that selling product and selling services are important. That's how companies make money. And so we not only make lots of introductions to potential, customers, might it be other cities or other partners of ours, but we as a municipality are a client in some cases as well, meaning companies have come here to test or demonstrate. And we as a city have seen their technology and been like, wow, that's actually impressive. We'd like to talk to you about becoming a paying customer of your service or to purchase your product. We have, as a in the realm of international business, we have become a very cost-effective or inexpensive landing pad for international companies that are looking to enter the U.S. market to come to the U.S. market through Curiosity Lab. Because not only do we have all the things that I just talked about, we also, in the metro Atlanta, Georgia area, are not near as expensive to do business as, say, Silicon Valley in California or New York City, as just two examples. We are a much lower cost of doing business. And so we've become a very attractive place for companies that come here initially. They'll oftentimes test or demonstrate a product, get enough interest that they are like, you know what, I think we can actually make a permanent, put permanent roots down in the US and start selling our product. Some of those have stayed here and are still here. Some of them have moved on to other places in the United States for them to put down roots, which is okay. We know our environment is not everything to everybody, but it is a very attractive location. So attractive, I might add, that there are a number of countries that have had government organizations or agencies that have permanent relationships with us to serve as a bi-directional, a two-directional pipeline between the US and that particular country. We are a good soft landing pad or a good sharer of information. And then also we have companies that are looking to expand overseas. And we can make introductions through our partners, our international partners, for US companies looking to go overseas. Last two things is we're in a very global environment here in Metro Atlanta. Atlanta is has the world's busiest airport. And so when it comes to ease of flying into Atlanta, there's no location that would be easier than to fly in here. We're also, the state of Georgia is also the location of the third largest container shipping port in the United States. And we are also a rail hub for the southeastern US. And so when it comes to shipping, rail, or air, we are a very, a very busy and well-established global connection with the world. And then the business climate here, coming to Curiosity Lab, is in its unique environment, is not an isolated location. We are a part of a 7 million person air populated area, of which there are a lot of other resources to make introductions to help support companies to come through here. Everything from our Chamber of Commerce here to introductions to some of the companies that are headquartered here, everything from Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Home Depot, UPS, and even the North American headquarters of companies like Mercedes-Benz and Porsche. And so we have a lot of large, international companies that are headquartered here that we oftentimes make introductions to. So when you bundle all that together, we are at a point where it's probably fair to say that there's no living laboratory. And it's important that I say living because this ecosystem is in amongst more than 10,000 people who work in these tech companies and, hundreds of companies and even thousands of people living in this 200-hectare area. We are pretty confident to say there's nowhere else in the world that can offer everything that is on this slide that I described in one bundle. We would, we're very happy to discuss, very specific things as any of the companies, want to explore this further. But I will close with that. That is kind of Curiosity Lab in particular and Peachtree Corners in general. That's kind of a summary. And so I will stop there and turn it back over to our moderator, and we'll continue with the call.
Okay, Mr. Brian, thank you for your presentation. So please off your camera and mic. 続きまして、キュリオシティラボ利用企業の皆様にご登壇いただきます。これより司会のバトンをホルヘさんへお渡しします。Hi, Jorge-san. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, next is your session, so I would like to pass the baton to you. Would you start your introduction when you're ready?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for that. So, if you could have Steve and Kieran and Melissa and Brian. Brian, you also turn your cameras on, since we're all going to be speaking together. And what we're going to do is, the next part is, well, first of all, thank you, Brian, for the summary, what you did at your, of who we are at Curiosity Lab. And I really appreciate you, the projection that you did of presenting Curiosity Lab as an integral part of the city, but also part of the 6th largest metro area in the United States, and keeps growing, which is also part of the fastest growing region in the U.S. Southeast, which it's all integral part of what you talked about, related to the global reach that the region does offer. Before we start with the 3 companies, Brian, let me ask you a question or a comment. Do you mind just taking a couple of minutes to kind of frame our trip to Japan coming up, because it's an integral part of this discussion that we're having?
Absolutely, Jorge. So we are in mid-October of this year, planning a trade mission to Japan, for the purpose of not only having some face-to-face opportunities to talk with companies that might be interested in Curiosity Lab, but also for us to get a better grasp of what Japan has to offer as far as companies looking to expand. Japan has locations that are also unique in their own right when it comes to testing or demonstrations, similar to us, looking for opportunities to partner there, and meeting with government agencies that are in the business of facilitating international trade in either direction, overseas or back to Japan. So it's one of those trips where you can get more, you can become more productive by having the face-to-face meetings, and it also shows the commitment that we've made to facilitating these kind of international partnerships by our willingness to go to other foreign locations to learn more about what we can do to maybe help companies. And, in return, we oftentimes get a little bit of activity or temporary. Other times we've had companies that like our environment so much they're here permanently. That's what economic development is about. So we're very excited about that trip and lining up opportunities for us to potentially be talking to the Japanese companies, agencies, organizations that might be great partner opportunities for us.
Thank you, Brian. And I just want to add to that we will be attending on the 3rd and the 4th of October the Kyoto Smart City conference, in which we have a booth. So if any of our Japanese audience has planned to be at the Kyoto Smart Cities, please look us up. And also, if you're interested, even if you're not attending, if you're interested to have a follow-on conversation, please let Jetro know, Mr. Akiyama, and we will make sure that we follow up with you during our stay in Kyoto, Osaka area, and then the subsequent part of the trip, which will be in Tokyo. So thank you, Brian. We'll get back. So now let's turn our attention to our three guests who are here with us this evening or this morning for Japan market, who represents basically three distinct companies from three different countries. So it's an example of the global aspect of Curiosity Lab. But more important to our audience is that they will be talking not only about themselves a little bit and what they do, but also help our audience understand from a company point of view why they chose or what they saw or what Curiosity Lab could do for their innovation. So these perspectives from them are real use cases on how we can advance that development of innovation. So Steve, let me start with you, if you don't mind. Could you tell us a little bit about you, your role, and a bit about Sion? And also, at the same breath, tell us a little bit about what innovation development or demo Sion did at Curiosity Lab.
Of course. Thanks, Jorge. I appreciate it. Konnichiwa. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's a pleasure to see all of you and to learn a bit more about the sharing of knowledge between countries and between technological organizations. Firstly, just as an introduction, a self-introduction, my name is Stephen Sheffield. I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of Georgia and have spent a majority of my career being a consulting engineer. And over COVID, I left my consulting gig and decided to join the LiDAR side of the business to be a representative for a vendor that is trying to enter the same domain that I've worked at as a professional over the course of my career. And that is LiDAR technology. Most of you are probably familiar with LiDAR. It is an acronym. It means light imaging, detection, and ranging. And it's very similar to camera technology or radar technology. It's just a matter of the medium which is being used to create imagery. In this case, it's very concentrated light beams that are being reflected off of objects and creating a silhouette of that object through random scatter beams over a very short period of time. So there's hundreds or thousands of beams that are being sent out from the LiDAR unit, and the LiDAR unit is creating a digital representation of the survey space that it is looking at. My company was founded in 2016 by two gentlemen who are each Chinese American who have been working in LiDAR technology and were originally interested in bringing LiDAR to ADAS applications. And ADAS is another acronym. There's a lot of acronyms in this business. ADAS happens to mean Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. And we were very successful at utilizing our LiDAR technology to support ADAS applications. However, most of the work that we have done has been to support applications in Asia. So we needed to find a new way to enter other domains utilizing our LiDAR technology. So one of the domains that we explored was ITS. There's another acronym, Intelligent Transportation Systems. And ITS essentially works to apply technology to traffic and transportation applications to make operations more efficient, to make them safer, and to provide visibility to objects that would not normally be detected through traditional means. So historically in the United States, most vehicles have been detected through an evolving technological base, starting with inductive loops that are just magnetic loops that are installed in the pavement. That evolved to the use of cameras, which are providing an above ground visualization of moving objects below, but the scope of cameras has been contained to just do vehicle detection over the course of its application. And then over time, radar was being used for vehicle detection. And now LiDAR is being looked at as the next wave of technology to be applied for vehicle detection at the intersection. But because we do detection in 3 dimensions, and in true 3 dimensions, we are able to detect pedestrians and other vulnerable road users, such as bicyclists, or maybe someone in a wheelchair, or someone pushing a baby carriage, or anyone that's outside of the vehicle is considered a vulnerable road user. And the importance of being able to see pedestrians and VRUs is now you can start investigating more advanced applications of traffic signal timing and apply that to pedestrians and VRUs when they're at the curb looking to cross the street, or if they may already be in the crosswalk and you simply want to extend a walk phase for them to give them a little bit more time to reach the other curb. And as the ecosystem becomes more connected in ITS, where we're taking all of the data that's being collected at the intersection to process moving vehicles through stoplights and also pedestrians, with this new technology, we're able to communicate pedestrian presence in the crosswalk to the roadside, to a roadside detection device that has the capability of communicating that information to connected vehicles in an onboard unit. So we see LiDAR being just an element of this entire ecosystem that makes roadway systems and roadside infrastructure more connected and provides the ability to communicate what's happening at intersections and in corridors between vehicles and other users. So entering this market is a challenge in the US, where in Europe and in Asia, we're able to very quickly prop up demonstration projects to show off our capabilities. In the United States, it's much more difficult to go out into a live traffic scenario, especially when there are already established technologies that are managing intersection systems and introduce a brand new technology such as LiDAR. So Curiosity Lab for us introduces a unique opportunity for us to be able to install our LiDAR hardware along with our perception software and our analytics software to more or less mimic the operations of managing that traffic signal through the implementation of our technology without having an impact on live traffic, because we're able to communicate not with the live traffic controller, but we're able to gather information on a secondhand basis of the data that the county or the state Department of Transportation is utilizing to push traffic through that intersection. And if we can provide validation that our solution is able to match the accuracy of the legacy detection that's already being used at that location, then we're validating our solution as a proven technology, or at least on the path to being a proven technology, in order to build trust between what our system can do and the capabilities that we're marketing as our capabilities to the public. And as there's more trust being built between our technology and the end users, we have the capability of taking that solution to the next step and actually testing it in live traffic. But this is a phase one for us in terms of being able to validate that solution.
Great. There's a lot more to come. Melis, let me turn it to you. Let me ask you the same question that I asked Steve. Tell us a little bit about Cleveland and why Curiosity Lab.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Meelis Anton, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Clevon. We are originally an Estonian company from Europe, and we have been in the US since 2022, and at Curiosity Lab since 2023. And our company does make such cute robots for last mile deliveries. Here it's one picture in front of Curiosity Labs, and our company mission is to really solve the problem of expensive last mile deliveries and the shortage of delivery drivers. So these are the two main bullets which our company is solving. Our robots, which don't have a driver in it, are much more energy efficient than regular passenger cars. So if you think about deliveries, then the costs and energy efficiency are really crucial if you think in large terms. And that's why companies like DHL in Europe have been trusting us with their packages and the deliveries for them. There are a couple of interesting facts relating our company also to the Japanese market. One is that we are a great partner with Toshiba, who is providing batteries for us, which is one of the critical factors for electrical vehicles. And the other interesting part is that as our company has an own academy to grow new robotics engineers, then this academy has caught a lot of interest internationally, and then we are in the talks with the city of Uda in Japan to establish an academy in Japan to start making engineers, new fresh engineers in the robotics field, because that is really an area where specialists are needed. The things which we have done at the Curiosity Lab currently are really related to deliveries. So we are having our equipment there in Peachtree Corners, and then we are performing deliveries near Curiosity Labs for the visitors, showcasing them what the technology can do, and then how the interaction for the people is, because the ease of use is one of the crucial factors for this type of technology. If it's easy for everyone, from small children to elderly people, that they can utilize the technology, then this technology will be adapted. And then it's a good, really good proving point to show that everyone is able to use that. Another really big positive thing for us at Curiosity Labs is to be able to communicate with and then work together with other companies that are there, because everyone is in this innovative space of transforming the transportation sector. Another important aspect, what Brian was telling about the 5G network. So we've been able to test new equipment there at the facilities. So it has been very supportive of us. And the regulation in the vehicle space is in US is much more supportive compared to regulations, for example, in on the EU side. So these are some of the plus points what we have been doing recently at Curiosity Labs in Peachtree Corners.
Excellent. That's very promising, particularly in a populated area like in Japan or in Atlanta. It's that last mile delivery and how to avoid the traffic. Let me, Kieran, tell us a little bit about Yuganu and where are you from? Where's the company from? And what's your role And what type of technology are you testing at Curiosity Lab?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Kiran Kulkarni, and I am the VP for Product Strategy at Juganu. I hope my audio is clear enough.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. I've been with the company for about 4 years. Juganu is an Israeli company, right? And first of all, thanks for giving us an opportunity to be as part of the panelist. At Juganu, what we do is we piggyback the existing lighting infrastructure to digitize the physical world. And our go-to-market or our platform are nothing but smart lights, right? Now, our smart lights not just come with excellent and energy-efficient lighting, but also come integrated with cameras, microphone, public Wi-Fi, wireless mesh that pretty much reduces the effort of bringing fiber to every light, right? And finally, we also have an edge AI inside this unit. So it's one light head, both on the outdoors as well as on the indoors, that pretty much is integrated. You don't see any antennas, any wires, anything dangling, right? Optionally, the lights also come with an environment sensor, 5G small cell for private networks, and RSU for any of the CV2X, which is the connected vehicle infrastructure on the intelligent transportation system, primarily around the traffic safety, right? In a nutshell, we offer lighting with use cases such as public safety, connectivity, traffic management, parking, you name it. Sky's the limit. There is edge processing, so the infrastructure itself is very sustainable. And if you look at it from an indoor standpoint, it is primarily retail analytics, which talks about customer demographics, customer journey, queue management, cart management, planogram, etc. And we are also PI compliant. Now, having said this, Juganu, being an Israeli company, was trying to get into the US market. And in this case, some of the features that we are using are very, very regulated in the US. And we needed a place where we could actually go and test some of these capabilities. That was the time that, we chose Curiosity Lab. And in fact, Curiosity Lab was a no-brainer, right? I mean, you have heard of the other participants and Brian explain. It offers an awesome combination of infrastructure, innovation, community focus, leadership, you name it, right? It in a nutshell, it provides a very nice ecosystem that helps you to do a real-world testing. We could get our fixtures deployed and test some of these capabilities. For instance, a couple of weeks back, we tested open weapon detection. Imagine carrying gun in a campus and walking around and testing it out. We have done this kind of a testing on other areas as well, other places, but not so very well organized as it is in Curiosity Lab. Not so easy to carry out, any of these testing, right? We have done public Wi-Fi testing. We have done parking testing, right? So, this ecosystem has helped introduce Juganu to many, many cities, utilities across the US, right? And some of the introductions have actually come from Brian and Brandon. I mean, these are the people who have actually introduced us to customers as well. And when Brian said that, some of these technologies ultimately end up becoming paying customer, I mean, we are fortunate in that sense. We are one of them, right? And we really are thankful to the partnership with the Curiosity Lab and the city of Peachtree Corners. From a testing standpoint, we have done a lot of testing at the lab, ranging from public safety, parking, and a lot to do on computer vision-based analytics.
Great. Thank you, Karim. And I think you bring a point. It's not just the leadership, which is so important, right? And how Curiosity Lab has facilitated your development. But I want to remind our audience that Curiosity Lab is a living lab. and it isn't actually, it's not a sterile environment in which all the development and the testing that is being done by all the three companies are in an actual city street that has interaction with the pedestrians, with other cars, scooters, and drones, and so forth. So it's not a sterile artificial environment, but an actual living lab in an actual city infrastructure, if you will, across the board. Let me check. I think we have taken an opportunity now to check some of the Q&As that has come in from an audience. Let me, I think this one might be probably geared towards you, Brian. And the first question that we have from Mr. Yamada is that he's aware that laws and regulation regarding automatic driving different from state to state. But he would like to know if there are any advantages of Curiosity Lab over other facilities in terms of demonstration and testing.
He is right that in the United States, there are essentially 50 different governing rules over public roadways that have been enacted by states. Milas can certainly comment on that. Cleveland, in every state they go to, they've got a different set of parameters. I will say that the state of Georgia is one of the most advanced vehicle and autonomous vehicle friendly states, in that the state has decided that vehicles that do not meet our federal government's motor vehicle safety standards don't require a person in the vehicle. The company could make that decision, or maybe the local government could, but some states require a safety steward on every vehicle that's on the roadway. So the state of Georgia has kind of gotten out of the way a little bit, left it to local government a little bit more. We certainly have felt the same way, which is we're going to insure our roadways. And then, like in the case of Cleveland, they came with their own safety protocols for their vehicle because they have, their own risk mitigation. They certainly don't want to be involved in anything any more than we do here. And so it's really decentralized, whereas most states in the U.S., at least more than half of them, the state government feels like it's got to have its fingers in all of the activity. So I would say that Georgia's in the top, in a grouping of about the top 5-8 states in the U.S. California is one. They're pretty friendly when it comes to this, but we're one of the better ones for you to have government to let you do your thing. And again, Milas can speak to that probably a little bit better than me, but I do know that we're in a good position here in Georgia.
Super, thank you, Brian. We have another question from the audience, and maybe we can start again with you, Brian, but also if any of the company want to chime in on this one, because it has to do with if there any participation from local financial institutions and local banks for companies that are testing. So perhaps, Brian, if you could talk a little bit from the Curiosity Lab, and then one of the companies, if they could share their experience in terms of the question. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, Milas, Stephen, and Kieran, all their companies all, have to have relationships with money, for lack of a better term. But from Curiosity Lab's perspective, we do have, call it a stable or a list of investors that are looking to invest in companies that pique their interest. So some of them have particular areas that they want to look into, but we make introductions all the time from between companies that are wanting, investment and those who are able and willing to invest. We certainly can't guarantee anything, and we don't make the pitch, but we do make the introduction. And so we do have access to that because we all know that all of these, all this testing and demonstration is all for naught if you don't have some money that is able to lubricate this. But we'll do that much. And then obviously each company has its own, specific set of relationships when it comes to how they get funded.
Yeah. Any comments from any of the companies before we go to the next question?
My quick take on it is on the public-private partnerships, right? Since some of the projects that we execute, typically require investment to come in from the private entities to fund some of the public initiatives. Yes, there have been a couple of introductions from the Curiosity Lab perspective in funding for public-private partnerships as well. These are primarily around the project-based investments.
Great. Another question from the audience is, this has to do about scaling. Are there any examples from the lab that have been scaled as a business for participating companies?
Well, I mean, you could potentially ask any of the, these three companies. I do know for sure, merely because I've had to probably approve a little bit more of Juganu's work of late than Cleavon or Sayan's, but that's only of late. But I know that, they have certainly had and done well with opportunities to get in front of others. We have definitely had other companies that are not on this call that have gone on to bigger things. But I will make one of note, and that is, while again, I mentioned we're not everything to everybody, Metro Atlanta's not everything to everybody. So we're big fans of any of these companies going, forth and doing stuff. We'd obviously love to have permanent presence, whether it's, expansion or what. But we did have one company, it was an Israeli company, that during COVID, they had some ADAS devices that they wanted to install in the Curiosity Lab vehicle, but during COVID, they couldn't travel. So they shipped the technology to us, and we did a virtual meeting. They talked us through how to install it. And then we installed it on our vehicle. And as it was making its rounds, if you will, it was generating data for them. That data got the interest of T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, who has a presence here. And they ended up saying, hey, can we talk beyond that? And then this company ended up getting picked up by T-Mobile and put in their accelerator program out in Bellevue, Washington. And this company, by the way, has still never set foot in Curiosity Lab, because when, COVID and the travel restrictions were lifted, by then T-Mobile Deutsche Telekom had already picked them up and had, started investing in them out in Bellevue. So we're very open to those kind of things, but there are definitely success stories. It's not necessarily our hard work. I don't want to say it's us who, we do everything. All three of these companies and others bust their, they're really busting it every day, and they're earning it, and their products are earning it. And so we are just merely providing, an environment for them to do their thing.
And yeah, just to add a comment here, from our perspective, as we are driving frequently around Curiosity Lab and in Peachtree Corners, then we get quite frequently outreach or inbound inquiries to us that we've seen you drive there. Let's have a conversation how this technology can be a suitable fit for our needs. So it's definitely, when you're out and about, people see you, share the information, and the city of Peachtree Corners has been really great in promoting everything what's going on there in the city. So we found ourselves in the Atlanta news number of times. So much appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Akiyama, question for you. I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. We are right on time to finish. Question for you is, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A queue that we would like to answer. If we don't have time now, we could certainly answer to this individual by typing the answer after the program. How would you like to handle that?
And by the way, Jorge, I could probably answer those two in about 2 minutes.
Okay, very quickly then. One is, Curiosity Lab does not charge IP or does not charge, period, or keep up. How do you manage to keep up the facility? How do you manage the budget?
We get that question a lot. If you don't charge to use it, you don't get IP royalties. How do you pay for it? Pay for it by a number of different ways. There's certainly some public investment. About half of our operating budget does come from the city, but the other half comes from a combination of we rent space for special events where we'll have big groups come in, and we have everything from weddings at the headquarters that you can see behind Milas there in his backdrop. But also probably the biggest way that we can expand and maintain our stuff is by companies wanting to become a partner. And we ask them to make a value proposition on becoming a partner. And most companies don't like giving cash because that is king, as they say. Instead, they offer something else. So for instance, our entire 5G network was donated by T-Mobile Deutsche Telekom. All of our video system was a Bosch donation, and so on and so forth. So our private partners want to make the ecosystem better because they're in it all the time. So that's how we pay for it, is a mixture of all of those things. But we are only about half of it is public.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Akiyama, we have one more question. Shall we answer it or it's up to you?
So yeah, it's time to close. So the last question we will answer after the program.
Well, on behalf of all of us at Curiosity Lab and the city of Peachtree Corners and Cleveland and Lugano and Sion, we want to thank you. Thanks, Jetro, for the opportunity to present tonight to the Japanese market and to partner with you, Mr. Akiyama, to help you in your mission of helping Japanese companies grow in the United States. So we're really looking forward to continue the conversation in Japan in person when we go there. And let me turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you to all the speakers for your valuable talks. Jorge-san, thank you for moderating a session. So I'd like to close the webinar. Let me have my last words for today's participants in Japanese. Thank you. 本日のウェビナーはこちらで終了とさせていただきます。冒頭申し上げました通り、ご退出後に表示されるアンケートへのご回答をお願いいたします。キュリオシティラボの担当者の紹介をご希望される方は、アンケートにてその旨ご回答いただければ幸いです。弊社より追ってご連絡させていただきます。本日は最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。